Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's your girl Chrissy with another episode of Ciphered Knowledge with Chrissy. And I am super excited about tonight's episode. I have been posting all his information on my Facebook page and Instagram page. So I hope all of you got to take a little look into the world of Cesar Nunez. So I will now turn it over to you, Cesar, and you can introduce yourself to the viewers, let them know who you are, what we'll delve into the deep questions a little bit later, but just like a little quick who you are and what are you about.
All right, well, quick introduction about myself. My name is Cesar Lopez. I was born in Ciudad Juarez in Mexico. My mom brought me to the States when I was around 4 or 5 years old, and I grew up in Los Angeles, California. When I finished high school, I joined the Marines because I wanted to protect my country and my people, you know. After that, after I got out of the service, I got in trouble with the law. I couldn't keep a job, and I was just all kinds of trouble. And I ended up locked up, and that was in 2001. I got locked up for possession of marijuana, and I pleaded guilty to that, took care of that business. And in 2012, I vacationed Costa Rica. On the way back, they don't let me in, and I get deported. So after that, it was like a big wake-up call to me, you know, that my world had been taken away from me. So, and who took it away from me? The government that I swore to protect. So I decided to come back to the U.S. and fight and correct injustice as the way I saw it as a Marine. I don't think that it never crossed my mind that a veteran would ever be deported. I just never about that.
Yeah, that word deported. The word deported should never come before the word veteran. But before because we're gonna break down all of that, right? We're gonna break down. We got an hour to tell. We got an hour to talk. So we're gonna break it all down. So I always ask and you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I want the audience and the viewers to really get it. What inspired you to be a Marine, right? Like you know what? I want to ask that question, and I have a follow-up question to that. So what inspired you to be a Marine? What made you say, I'm going to sign up and serve this country?
And that the answer to that is complex but simple at the same time. You know, one of the things like we see now in on TV, all the violence because of the social unrest. Well, kind of like that's how I started for me, because growing up, we didn't have this division. There was some hardships for everybody, but it was the American dream that if you've worked hard, you could make your dreams come true, right? And one of those things was that my mom would work all the time. When she came to the States, she had 2-3 jobs, and I always saw how hard she worked, and I always thought, I'm like, man, she didn't have to work so hard if there was some help. She was a single mother, so she was by herself. Because she was undocumented, she wouldn't qualify for any food stamps or any other programs. So she fucking roughed it out her whole life, and because she was always at work, I was always at neighbors' houses, eating and everything. And the way that they helped me, they protected me when I was little, that I didn't have nowhere to go. I always thought about giving back. And then my mom always working, and I wanted to be somebody that would protect someone like that. I would see on TV become a soldier, become a Marine, become an Air Force man. But the ones that always caught my eye were the Marines. Because in my mind, at that young age, was, well, if I'm going to protect somebody, I would want to be the best. I would want to be the baddest fighter. And the baddest
you're going to get the Army and the Navy men, and they're all going to come after you.
and also, there were, I had two two teachers, and funny at that, they were Marines, and after they got out of the service, they became teachers, and they were my teachers. One in elementary, the other one in high school, but they were English teachers. Marines, we're dumb as rocks, you know. But that's the ironic part. But they saw in me what I wanted to do with my life, and the part of being fulfilled as an individual and a member of a community, that I wanted that belonging, and they knew I didn't have a father, and they were very kind to me. Those two teachers, Mr. Kirby and Mr. Rodriguez, but uh, so they were Marines, and Mr. Kirby was a white boy in Echo Park. You know, there was no teachers in Echo Park, and I'm like, "Aren't you scared?" And he like, and he had forearms like that. You know,
he wasn't scared.
No, and he looked at me like, "Do I look scared?" I'm like, no, and I'm like, "All right." And you know, getting to know him as my teacher, I'm like, how come you ain't scared, dude? You're in the neighborhood, you know, you're surrounded by cholos with guns, knives, and you just walk like nothing. He like, I ain't scared, Cesar. I'm a Marine. And I'm like, oh, for real? I want to be like that. And I guess I did.
There you go. I wanted to really quick. We got hello family. Thank you for your service, sir. So that's one of our guys who says thank you for the service. So I want to ask you a question. Like when you were growing up, in your mind, did you always see yourself as an American, or did you label yourself as an immigrant?
No, that's the thing. I grew up American, you know, and when I was at the yard, at the play yard, fucking nobody cared where I came from. They cared if I knew how to kick the ball or throw the baseball or catch the football. They didn't care, none of that, you know. But I do have to say that when I first came to the U.S., my accent was a lot heavier, and they will pick on me for that. So that I had to work on my accent, and then and I guess that's how they were asking me for my residency card or my citizenship, because I couldn't speak when I was little, and then they're like, no, you know, we don't understand what you're saying. You stay in the corner. But I got better with the language, and I was really good. I was very active in sports. Oh, hey, Cesar, come on. We're going to do a huddle. You know what a huddle is? I'm like, yeah, I know, man. Let's get it on. So, and by that time, I was around 12, 13 years old. And by that time, I was already fluent. And I read a lot. So that, when I was little, I read a lot of comic books. And, you know, that's how I learned how to read with comic books.
Ooh, look at that! You still
still read them, man. Every Wednesday, I go to the comic book store to buy my weekly comic books. So I grew up American.
Yeah, I gotta hook you up. I have a friend who has a comic book podcast, so I'll get you that info later.
All for it. Oh, I can talk for hours about comic books. But you know, that's how I grew up. I grew up with comic books. When I was little, Captain America and Spider-Man were my favorites. And then, you know, a little bit of evolution and taste. I started liking the X-Men a little bit better, because the X-Men are immigrants, by the way. The way that that comic book came about was because there were a bunch of misfits that didn't belong in society, so they made them the X-Men. But anyways, so I grew up American. You know, I'm out, baby. I Raiders, Raiders in LA. They were my favorite. So yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah. And you know, and the reason why I asked that question is because I feel like that. You know, like I grew up with, you know, I'm from the Bronx, New York, so I grew up with people that came from different countries, and I never thought to ask, "Are you here? You know, are you documented? Are you like?" I was like, "All right, you my classmate, like we're friends." Like I don't, you know, that wasn't something that was came across my mind. So I only figured that wasn't something that came across yours. So there's this burning question that I have, right? Because I was talking to my son-in-law about you, and one of the questions he asked me was, "Well, how be able to serve our country if he was undocumented? So how does
If
that work?
how was I? Sorry? Was that the question?
Yeah, how were you
You're
able to
breaking up.
sign up for? Yeah, how were you able to sign up for the service if you were undocumented?
Well, I'm fucking undocumented now. I wasn't undocumented then.
So I
You know.
guess I guess being here as an immigrant, right? Were you a legal resident?
Yeah, I was a permanent legal resident. My mom
Okay.
got citizenship through the Immigration Act of Reagan in '86, and that's how we were legal.
So
Yeah, but now
how do you then get deported?
because in 1996, Bill Clinton signed into law the Immigration Act of 1996 that made felonies, aggravated felonies, deportable to any immigrant, and any immigrant included veterans.
Hmm. See, this is history 101 that they don't teach you in school, right?
Yes,
They don't.
ma'am.
Yeah, this is the stuff that they don't teach you. So we got my friend Wise who says thank you for your service, and I think you're gonna get that all night. Thank you for your service. So how many tours did you serve?
I only served 2 years. I was in the
Okay.
service for 2 years, and I had some issues in the service, and I got a administrative discharge. I was administratively discharged from the Marines because there was no wartime. I'm a peacetime Marine. I served from 1993 to 1995.
Okay. So I'm gonna say, well, you a bad boy there too. Can you hear me? I think you're
Yeah.
coming in and out a little bit, Cesar. I apologize. We're gonna try to get through this. We're gonna try to work this out. So tell us about what happened that ended up allowing them to get you to, allowing the country to deport you. What occurred?
What occurred? Well, no, the thing that got me was the conviction in New Mexico in 2000 for possession of marijuana. When that happened, the law had already changed in 1996. Fucking, I didn't know anything about it. I was literally just going to work, and after work, I would go get me a beer and hang out at the sports bar. I didn't know what law's changing. I don't know what the hell's going on. So that happened, and when I got convicted, but I do remember asking him like, "Hey, does this affect me in any way?" And they're like, "No, man, it doesn't happen." So that was in 2000, and then I plead guilty to that. I don't do jail time. I go to work at Intel. I finish my college degree, and I decide to come to Vegas in 2003, and I've been here ever since. And because my family's here since 1992, and I just moved to Vegas and made my life. Everything was normal, and then when the economy collapsed in 2008, I went to school to be an air conditioning tech. And so from 2009 to 2011, that's what I was doing. I was an air conditioning tech, and I wanted to open up my own business. And going to Costa Rica, I was gonna be paying $1,000, and that's how much the contractor license in the state of Nevada at that time was $10,000. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'll go work in Costa Rica 2 3 months, come back, open up my business. And unfortunately, that never happened because they stopped me at the airport and they're like, "Hey, are you Cesar Lopez?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, you got my fucking ID." And
I love you.
when, when and okay, you commit this crime in 2000, and that's when I'm like, well, yeah, but how do you know about it? Because it's supposed to be cleared off my record. And that's when I was informed that because I was not a citizen, it doesn't go away. They put it away in a file for immigration for later on to use. And later on to use, that was right there and then. And so they labeled me as a terrorist and a threat to the nation, and I was not allowed back into the country. I had an attorney here in Las Vegas. I was locked up 4 months fighting it. And on the last court appearance, my lawyer didn't show up. They said that they didn't have a legal recourse for me, and I got deported.
Unbelievable.
But in reality, my lawyer wanted more money. That's the thing. My lawyer wanted more money. They're like, "Whoa, you give me $3,000, we'll appeal right now." I'm like, "Dude, couldn't you fucking do that when I paid you the 7,000?" And he did.
That's crazy. That
But I
and
wasn't
at
about to
no
pay another 3,000.
and at no point did anybody, so like how I feel is that when you serve this country, bottom line, period, you are part of the soil. Like you are embedded in that soil. You sacrificed your time, your energy, your blood, your sweat, your tears to serve us, to serve for our freedoms, to serve for the government, to serve for the people. And it just blows my mind how that's even, like, how there's loopholes like that, right? And you and I were talking before the other day, we were checking in, and you made a good point, and you said that when they want you, there's always a way, right? Like when they want you, there's always a way. So what has your quest been? Tell me a little bit about your journey to making it back, and the steps and what you found out about government through this whole process.
Oh wow! I mean, it's been very, very. I've learned a lot. I mean, I before this, I was already. I read a lot, so I already knew a little bit about government. Basic stuff. Probably a little bit better than basic. But after this happened to me, everybody in my family, my mom, my sisters, even my wife at one point, they're like, well, just we'll be in Mexico, and my family would be like, hey, we'll send you money so you'll be all right over there and this and that. I'm like, oh man, what you guys don't understand is that I'm a veteran, man. I was willing to die for that country. There's politicians that have never done anything other than live off the titty of the government, and I was willing to give my life for that government. So for them to tell me that they're more patriot than me, I challenge that, and I'll challenge that till the day I die. And that's what I told everybody in my family, and they're like, "You're crazy." I'm like, "No, it's a matter of principle to me, Mom. That if you take away this from me, if you take away leave that a veteran, a man that was willing, and this any man, not me, just any man that is willing to lay his life for me, for my neighbor, for my country, and you kick him out? No, I cannot live with that. And I couldn't live with it knowing that it was happening to other men other than me. And so I'm like, no, I'm going back. And they're like, well, are you coming back? I'm like, I'll fucking figure it out. And I did. And so that was the easy part. I managed to. It's such a strong story that I would like to tell how much goes into it, but because I'm also a patriot, I cannot give a lot of the details on that story because of the measures that I had to go through across that border. And it's military training. I do have to say that a lot of it was military training. A lot of it was research. But I did, right. I did spend four nights and 3 days in the desert without food and water, and it was the hardest thing I had ever done. I was 38 years old at the time, and I almost didn't make it. I almost was gonna be one of those dead people in the desert, but for some reason, baby Jesus told me to get up, that I can still do it, and I did. I kept on walking, and I made it home after 4 days, and that was just the beginning because after that, I needed to heal. I was really, really damaged, psychologically damaged. I was scared. Uh, the system beat me down to a pulp. They took everything away from me. All my IDs, they tore them up. You know, they left me with nothing. And I was like, well, what do I do now? You took my life away. I have a college degree. I can't use it to get to work. I got a technical degree for air conditioning. I can't use it to go to work because it flagged.
Yeah.
They know everything about me, but yeah, they say that I'm illegal. I'm like, how the hell, man? And I go to Mexico and they don't know who the fuck I am. They're like, who?
Yeah,
Cesar Lopez? Welcome to the country. Yeah. But here in the States, you have Cesar Lopez. Oh yeah, that's the crazy Marine in the courthouse, But they just erased my life like that, and I couldn't let that happen without fighting. I am a Marine at the end of the day, and I swore to protect the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And the way that my fellow deported veteran brothers and myself have been treated by the system, we're being stepped on by terrorists, man. By political terrorists. They want to keep us down to do their own agenda, whatever it is, and we see that in Washington right now. When this happened to me, it was a clear cut. The system targeted me, and I thought it was done. When I got arrested in 2000, and I pleaded guilty to my felony conviction of possession of marijuana. That was my last problem with the system. That I'm like, dude, I'll do whatever the hell you want. You're the system. I was a wild kid. I like to get in trouble and take risks. But I'm also I'm a good person. I was just a little bit curious and travieso, but I'm not a bad person. So once you already slapped in my hand, I'm not gonna do it again. So when that happened to me in 2000, okay, I'm down. I got a college degree. I got a technical degree. I'm being a productive member of society. I never got in trouble after that, and so I thought I was on my way to start my business and live on the good life, And no, that's when the government comes in again and takes everything away from me. And this time, not only did they take everything away from me, they erased me. I don't exist. And so that's when I decided that I'm like, no, and this is to the question that you asked me earlier. Do I consider myself an American? I'm like, hell yeah, man. I grew up in America, so I know I would be a lot easier for me to have assumed the identity of a dead person with Social Security, go get an ID, do the whole person, and take over somebody's personality, somebody that died. That's how you do it. If you're not from the hood,
don't give it all away.
so I could have assumed the identity of that person. I could have had a normal job. I could have even probably gone to school and get a degree on that person. But my whole point is that no, my name is Cesar Manuel Lopez, and recognize me for who I am, the human being that I am. A lot of flaws, plenty of damn flaws, and quite a few mistakes. But I have always faced the consequences of those mistakes. And like I said, I'm not a bad person. I'm just very blunt. That some people take that in an offensive manner, but it is what it is, man. But I didn't deserve what I got from the system. I fought it back, and none of those deported veterans got a fair shake from the system either.
And I
So
want
I
to
had to
ask
do
you that.
something.
How many, if you know, do you know the number of how many deported veterans we have right now?
Up to this point, I know there hasn't been a conclusive count or study about deported veterans about how many there are. There's estimates all over the place. But my estimate, according to experiences I had with the deported veterans, the ones that I have actually talked to, contacted through Facebook or any other social media, I counted 300. Of course, there's got a lot more than that. So I'm guessing probably about 1,000 at the most. 1,000 is a number that I feel
Yeah.
comfortable with.
So I have a question, but then somebody from the audience asked a question. They wanted to know, do you still get benefits? I guess VA benefits.
Yes. Well, yes and no.
Okay.
Are we entitled to the benefits? We definitely are. The prime example is that when since I got deported, there's been 15 deported veterans that have died in Mexico and other parts of the country or the world. Once they die, because we're veterans, we're entitled to a free burial at a military cemetery. And guess what? They fucking bring them back dead, and they give them military burial and 21 gun salute and everything. So yes, do we get our benefits? Yeah. They don't want us alive. But once we're dead, we're welcome to come back home. And I just don't think it's right.
So what do we do? Well, how can we help? What do we do? Who do we write? Do we march? Do we write? Do we call? Do we email? Do we donate? What do we do?
Everything they do as a citizen, you know. Okay, like you said, what can I do? Analyze the issue and the situation that you want to help. Like deported veterans has been going on since 1996. And the first attempt at introducing legislation to stop the deportation of veterans was in 1998 by a congressman in New York, and it never happened. So for 22 years, they have been trying to stop this, and nothing has moved forward. Now, on the last 2 years, I myself changed my strategy because we couldn't get anything done through the legislations. So I decided that I'm like, you know what, screw this, because another problem that we have is 22 years. 22 years of trying to get legislation through. So the first guy that mentioned the law, he got voted out. He's not even around. So he dropped the ball. Then another congressman picked it up, but he got voted out too. So he dropped the ball. Somebody else picked it up. And so that's been going on for 22 years. When I started analyzing this, I'm like, man, we're never going to get this fucking done because it's just kick the can down the road. So I switched my strategy. I decided to go after the president. And I started approaching all the candidates for president to bring us home. And at the time, they thought it was easier to get in because to to a Kamala Harris event on her first event here in Las Vegas, there was fucking 50 people in there. So I walked in, what's up, and it was easy. But after they got picked for VP and everything, now you can't even get near them. But I already got them. So I switched the strategy to go for an executive order, have the president commit to signing an executive order to stopping the deportation of military veterans and repatriation of those that have been deported. So I was successful at accomplishing that. And right now, that's what we're really, we're trying to get all of us together. There's several groups of deported veterans now. There's the support house in Tijuana. there's a bunker, a deported veteran bunker in Juarez, and LULAC is stepping up, helping out. There's uh, green card veterans in Chicago with Carlos Luna and with Miguel Perez. Miguel Perez was a veteran that got deported, and then he was brought back home. There's also the Veterans for Peace has been helping deported veterans for at least 12 years that I know of, and they've always been at the forefront. And there's also another organization, Repatriate or Patriots, with a director, Brandy Dudsak, I believe. And she's done a lot of good work in the last 2 years. So everybody's got their own plan. And that's the problem. You know, we all think we're the smartest fucking person in the room. But for me, as a deported veteran that affected me, everything that everybody was submitting wasn't going to benefit me. And I kept on saying, guys, how the fuck you going to try to say that you're for deported veterans when you're submitting bills that don't benefit me? I'm like, it makes no damn sense, man. So that's when I got away from legislation and I started hitting the executive order. Now all the groups are agreeing that that executive order is the best way forward, and then to support it with legislation. I'm not sure which legislation they're getting behind, and I told them I'll get behind any legislation you guys want as long as you get it with me on this executive order. And so that's where we at. I think that we're at a good point that most groups and deported veterans we're agreeing on executive order. So if there's people out there that want to help us out, now write to Vice President and Joe Biden and remind them that they promised us to bring us home with executive order and to keep them keep their feet to the fire on that. That's the way home. And
you got
hopefully everybody knows it.
You got him on audio saying that, right?
So well, have a video and audio. And what the producer of the Netflix documentary Immigration Nation, he was really interested in the story that I was doing. So he was kind of doing side shooting for another documentary, and he's trying to chop that around, you know. But he allowed me to use the footage that he took to show that Joe Biden said that he was going to bring us home. That Kamala Harris said she was going to bring us home. So he put it in a video. I'll send you a link for that. So you know it's on my deported veteran page. But
okay.
But it's a really good video. It holds them accountable.
Absolutely. And we should absolutely hold them accountable. I was telling you, my mom actually chimed in. She said she couldn't leave a comment, but she wanted to thank you for your services, my mom. So and then she said, she, with the Immigration Nation, and we were watching it, we were looking at the governor of New Mexico. And I told you, my mom was fuming when you couldn't even get a meeting with her, right? She said she was your chance to get the pardon, right, for you to have that expunged. And you know what ended up happening with that?
It's funny that she said that, but that's, and the pandemic took that away from me because I made calls, I wrote letters, I sent emails, and they don't listen. The politicians, they don't let you into they don't acknowledge nothing. So when I would show up, they couldn't kick me out of the house. And I'm like, oh, go ahead, kick me out and tell me why you're kicking me out. So they took that away from us. But after I pressured enough that I was given the pardon on June 25th of 2020. But because I came back without permission, now I'm having trouble getting citizenship that way. That's why I'm asking. I need a lawyer. I can't do it on my own no more. And I had my case reviewed by 3 different lawyers, and for some reason or another, they have just said that that it's too difficult, I guess. But I tell them, I'm like, no, man, it's super easy. Just reopen the case. I don't have a felony anymore. The only problem that I have right now is reentry. illegal reentry, I guess, because I didn't I didn't ask permission. So, but
to come on the
if
soil
you
that
know
you put
about
yourself
immigration,
there.
yeah, I'm intending on hiring um, Margaret Stock. She's probably the top lawyer in the country for immigration, and but she's a little bit pricey. And $1,000 is the initial consultation. After that, it's gonna be whatever it is. But I'm guessing the lawyer that ripped me off here in Vegas charged me 7,000, so I figure about the same.
Yeah. So listen, guys, if you look at the bottom of the screen, I also posted it to my Facebook page, my personal page, as well as my Instagram, as well as my Ciphered Knowledge Facebook page. If you
Okay.
go to GoFundMe, and look up Underrepresented Veterans Legal Expense Fund, you can help Cesar with getting all this, getting the immigration attorney, helping him continue to fight and finish his case so that he can continue on to the life that he so deserves on this soil, rightfully so. And then I have another comment here that says, "Our soldiers get treated horribly already. I can imagine how an immigrant is treated after serving our country." So listen, guys, go very much so wise, and I'm gonna keep the GoFundMe up there. Like I said, the link is on my page, so you can go anything. Anything that you can afford to contribute is worth more than you can only imagine. Like, let's think about this. This man sat here, decided to serve our country, got into a little bit of bullshit. They lied to him like it ain't gonna be a big deal. Created an entire life here, got a degree, stood on the straight and narrow, and then they turned around and said, "Fuck you, you don't mean shit to me." And now he's got to rebuild all of this. Like they're not giving him an opportunity or a chance to do that. And I feel like if he can so easily say, "I will give my life for this country and for you," I take that personal, for you, for me, right? Then I feel like we should be able to counter that and say, "I got you." $20, $10, $5. You know what? Every little bit adds up. But I will tell you that you definitely are getting a donation from me, hands down. So when this is done, I'm gonna go do that. All right. um, so definitely we want to help you out. So let's talk about this. So now you're here and you have a wife. What's going on with that? Like what are in the plans for that? I like the good stuff.
Well, the plan is that we're going. I already have two daughters. My first marriage, two lovely girls, and and I what are we 21? Shit, Amy's gonna be 26 in May, and Isabel's 23. So those are my two girls. I love them, and I already have my kids, but my had any. And we planned when we were married for 2 years before I got deported. So we had 2 years that it was it was the best 2 years that we've ever had, and it was wonderful because I was working as an AC tech. I would make about 1,000 to $1,500 a week. Went out, like I said, I was always at the sport bar getting wings and beer. And I would always like to give her earrings, solitary earrings, jewels, because I made money. And and all that stopped after I got deported. I had submitted paperwork. She's from Guadalajara, so I was submitting her paperwork when we got married. And then when I got deported, they took away my paperwork and they stopped hers. They kicked it out. So she was already here undocumented, and she remains undocumented until today. So it's one of those things that is we can't catch a break, man. But that's the legal part. I mean, we already dealt with it. I'm a Catholic. I was raised Catholic, so is she. So in these last 8 years, the Lord, He saved me when I was on that desert crossing over, and He has given me the strength I needed to face uh, the 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 everything that Donald Trump threw our way. Because for us, the first 4 years weren't that bad,
Mhm.
but these last 4 years with Trump, oh my God, it has been the worst, the worst, the worst. And that's one of the reasons I was warning people. I'm like, bro, everybody is getting all angry and out of nothing. We're blaming immigrants for everything. The caravans are coming. The caravans are coming. So it was always something to instill fear and anger towards immigrants. So
Yeah, he didn't make it any better. I mean, and if you watch the episode of so Caesar was on Immigration Nation episode 3, and if you take a look at that, like I couldn't watch much more. I told you when we spoke, it broke my heart. Like I literally cried and had to turn it. It broke my heart to see how callous these ICE police officers were. Like no heart. Like ICE is definitely the correct term for them because they have ice cold
right.
hearts.
Yeah,
To sit there, yeah,
oh man, oh
yeah, and to sit there and watch them just like, and it's a numbers game. Like I implore anybody who's watching to take a look at this. You will have a completely different view. At the end of the day, we're all human beings, and I say this wholeheartedly. Every person on this soil, unless you're Native American Indian, is an immigrant, right? Because this is stolen land. So you can't sit here and claim it to be yours. That's like somebody stealing a car, like your father stealing a car, then giving you the car. Is that car any less stolen? Is that car any more legally yours? No, it's still stolen. So I mean, and you said to me, and I'm gonna let you speak on this. You said to me that you do believe in borders. You do believe in protecting the borders. Let's talk about that. You do believe in protecting the borders.
well, I believe that borders is what makes a country. I mean, every system of government has their own little piece of land, and they said, okay, so this is our land. We can protect this piece of land, and we're going to claim it as our own. So, in order to protect that little piece of land, we are going to create borders so people that we don't know can just come in. But what I find funny and ironic on this, that's the mentality on borders. And in the U.S. right now, we were focused on immigrants, but problem is on the inside. But anyways, but when it comes down to borders, I do believe in borders to protect sovereign countries. Got to have their well-established boundaries, so no other countries can interfere and be disrespectful. The way that I put this is always I like to bring it down to a personal level. Do you want a border or a wall around your house? I do, because I have a property here in my own house. Uh, my division with my neighbors is very clear. If they come in here, I'm gonna fucking shoot them. If I go into theirs, I might get shot. So it's clear, But I'm also, but I'm also sure that if there were a problem in my house, if there were a burglar, or if there was a fire and I needed to jump into my neighbor's yard and get away from the fire and get away from that intruder, they would be like, oh, no, it's cool, man. Let's call the cops and let's see what's going on. That's the amnesty that we're talking about here as a nation. Because we do have to have those walls. Somebody comes over our wall and we know them, we know that they're there. In this case, we know that the people are being persecuted with the gangs and poverty and their military down south in Central America. So we know that that's an issue. So if they cross over into our wall, Be like, hey man, what's going on? They're kicking your ass. We didn't send you enough guns. We didn't give you enough stuff. All right, whatever. But yeah, we need to have borders. But there's laws in asylum. Let's follow our own laws.
And I love your
Simple as
analogy.
that.
I love your analogy. I love the yes, I want to protect my home, but at the same time, if something was happening and I needed protection, my neighbor would protect. I love that. Like that makes so much sense. If anyone can sit there and just think about that. We have some comments. We have a nation of immigrants hating immigrants is crazy. Absolutely. But you're going to love this one and I love this one too. And thank you in Stuck in My Mind podcast. He said, I will make sure we promote the GoFundMe on the Real Wise programming and all social media for this month. So he's also going to share your GoFundMe. So thank you for that so much, Wise. I appreciate that. And that's what this is about, right? Helping one another out. Like, at the end of the day, we're fucking human.
That's the way I see it.
Right? So what has this done to you emotionally?
I don't know
where were you?
what you're talking.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's for me emotionally. It's and I'm gonna use another analogy that you guys are gonna be able to relate to it now. If I told you the story that I'm gonna tell you right now, 1 year ago, you would have been like, I don't know, what's going on with them. Okay, but your later, which is today, you're gonna be like, oh, for real? So after I came back into the U.S. and like I said, I don't have any ID, I don't have anything, so I've been a ghost. And for the last 8 years, I go places, they don't let me in, I don't have ID, I go to Congress, I go to politicians, they don't even care because I don't have an ID. So that put me into a depression because you got people telling you for 7 years that you don't exist, that you don't count, that you don't matter, it don't care, that we're getting deported, that veterans are dying. And that put me in a deep depression because I didn't exist, and I didn't have any human contact. After Trump took office, got intensified because there were a lot of raids, and obviously we're in danger of those. So I've been locked up for really those 4 years of his term, and I was going crazy. You see me all this talk that I'm doing with you today. This is the most I've done in a week because I don't get to go out, and I'm starting to go out a little bit more, but I couldn't do that. I was so isolated. Even my wife, she's like, well, Cesar, you need to calm down. There's nothing for, you got books, you got TV, you can find something to occupy your mind. But to me, the whole thing was that they didn't want to recognize me. Society doesn't want to recognize me. The system doesn't want to recognize me. I just want to be heard. I want to go to work. And so it was horrible, this isolation. But after the coronavirus, I got better because
everybody was like you.
Years. Yes, because it took 3 years for me to start losing my fucking mind and to start telling my wife, I'm like, baby, I want to go fucking talk to the neighbor. I want to go gum or something. And it took 3 years. And for regular Americans, they started fucking breaking down with 1 month. So I'm like, oh, see, now you know how it feels, huh? Imagine going through that for 3 fucking years. So,
wow.
But I got better, and so that's what the deportation did to me. It took everything away from me. So now problems, everyday problems. Oh, I'm gonna be a little bit short for the rent, or I'm not gonna have something to eat today. Shit, that's minor to me now.
Yeah. Listen, I'm never gonna get over this. So there are some key things that I definitely want to reiterate. So we've got Biden and Harris saying yes to bringing the veterans back and no longer deporting them by an executive order, right? Then we need legislation to follow up
Yes.
after that to make sure that. Now, let me ask you a question because, like, I mean, I'm not that great with the judicial system, right? So, medicine, I can tell you how to fix a broken leg, right? But don't ask me anything about law. But so if an executive order goes in, can that ever be overturned by a next incoming president?
Yes, and that's the reason that like everybody has been trying to do legislation, but like I said, everybody's got their own piece of legislation. What I came up with was the executive order to make us nationals, because when we get sworn in into service, we are automatically become U.S. nationals. But what I have heard from other veterans, they have tried argument to prevent getting deported. The government has said that we stop being U.S. nationals when we leave the service, but we're like, no, because we swore in and nobody swore us out, so we still U.S. nationals. So what we're asking in that executive order is to make that U.S. nationality permanent, not make us U.S. citizens, just nationals. That would be enough for us not to ever be deported, and it wouldn't make it so the Republicans are more against citizenship. They shouldn't have a fucking leg to stand on where we just want to be in the country, man. If you don't allow us to vote, okay, we'll work on that later. But right now we want to be home. And that's what the executive order is going to do. But like you said, another president can get that taken out. So that's why we need that legislation to be submitted in that time that that executive order is protecting the veterans. After that, the law should be able to take care of us.
Awesome.
So that's how
So
we're working it.
executive order is step one, legislation is step two. And that executive order is so that we could get our people home now, right? And then we work on fixing it. We got 3 years. Forget 4 years. We got 3 years to make sure that legislation is in,
Right.
solidified, signed, stamped, sealed, and it ain't going no fucking where. Like, that's what we need
And
to
if,
do.
if we're being realistic, the best chance for us to get this legislation through is going to be in the next 2 years, because we have 50-50 in the Senate and we do have the Congress. Next election in 2022, who fucking knows? So
So we got 2 years. So
we
Cesar, I
we have a
asked small window. So I ask every one of my guests at the end of the show, and you sent it to me, and I loved it. I want you to share with the viewers one piece of lasting advice. If you can give any kind of knowledge or insight to someone, what would it be? What would be that knowledge you share?
um, what I would like to share with everybody is to be aware and to keep your eye on the ball always. To carry. I'm not saying to become a zealot like some people were seeing on TV from the left and the right. It takes two to tango. But keep an eye on the people that we choose to send into office, because they're there to supposed to protect us, to help us have a better life. Spread that burden so we as medium income families can have a happy life. But when they start selling that for the profit and they start taking away our rights, uh, they
Oh, Caesar, I'm not losing you now. Not at the
do it
last
and we
couple
don't even
of
know
minutes.
it. They did to me. And
Oh, come back, Caesar. Come back.
the
So
law
we're gonna wait.
changed in
Come back.
1996.
Caesar, I keep losing you. I don't know if you can hear that. So listen, I want to remind is he come I just want to let you guys know you see the GoFundMe down
So
below.
pay a little bit. What does USMC stand? And just be aware.
Sweet, I lost that last 30 seconds I lost. You want to come back in on your phone real quick so you could do you could do that end over? I can take you off and you come back in on your phone because I really do want you guys to hear. Are you there now? All right, he's gonna come off. I do want to read to you what he sent me while he comes back in because he did text it to me and I said this is one of the questions that I ask everybody. And he said the one piece of advice that he wanted to share with everybody is that systems are created for control, and those systems are controlled by people. My advice is always keep your eye on the ball, even when we are fat and happy. You never know when one of those people we elect to supervise our system of government might turn against us. Oh, never mind. It's happening now. LOL. Hey, I just read your text message to everybody so they could see what you sent me. Thank you. It's better now. Definitely better. We got a message. How do we choose who gets in office when they're already chosen? Ah, someone is saying, Cesar, papi, you're
And
frozen.
I don't know what's going on. But for that person, I hate that. I hate that answer. Oh, they're already chosen. If they're already chosen, then get your ass and get elected, man. Run for office. Quit being that, oh, they already did it. Run for office.
There you go. I like that answer. See, nobody ever gives it back like that. Nobody ever gives it back like that. Absolutely. If they're already chosen, then you be the chosen one, right? You do the work to be the
Yeah,
chosen
you
one.
fucking run, man.
Listen, Cesar.
I know I'm gonna run for my city council once I get my papers. You think I'm gonna let them do this to me again? Hell no.
Nope, absolutely not. Listen, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I think, your story is so important to tell. It needs to be spread across. I'm sure that there are people who were watching, who's going to watch, who didn't even know that this was a thing. Like, I only ended up finding out through a post. And then, Carlos hooked me up with you, and thank you, Carlos, so much for hooking me up with Cesar. I appreciate it. You're frozen again, but you stay there. Don't go anywhere. I'm gonna close off the show, but don't disappear. Stay right there, even if you freeze again. So listen, I just want to tell you guys thank you so much for coming on and watching another episode of Cipher Knowledge with Chrissy. Make sure you head over to the website, GoFundMe page, link is there. If you guys are watching and you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you hit subscribe right now. This is a different channel that I was on from before. So make sure you hit subscribe so you can get notifications whenever I go live. We have a double hitter next weekend as well. I had 2 shows this weekend, have a double hitter next weekend. Next weekend on Saturday, I have a psychic who's coming on and doing live psychic readings. So if you want to speak to your
I'm gonna call in on that.
You're gonna call it. Definitely come in on that. So I'm gonna leave you guys with what I end the show with all the time, which is if all you've experienced is all you know, then you are in a deficit of knowledge. And I want to thank you so much for coming on and joining the cipher. And I will see you next week.